here today with Dr. Amanda Henderson. Dr. Henderson is the CEO of H&H Fast Properties, Inc. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
being
the invitation.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Amanda Henderson, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Like you said, I got my PhD in biology, so a little different from the company that I'm the CEO of, of course. But it seemed to be the need. So interests include natural history, which is why I got my PhD in biology. So followed it more as a passion more so than a lifestyle choice.
Okay.
But after being in academia for, a few years, I just couldn't stick there. So really interested in my community, so decided from there real estate was the way to go, especially if I wanted to actually make an economic difference, and then eventually do the emotional, financial, spiritual, food insecurity. You need money to do everything else,
right?
Essentially.
Right.
So, simple story. Black girl from Southside.
And H&H Fast Properties is a family business, is that right?
It is. So it was founded by my father. My siblings work with us, so he made it a point that we should be well aware of what's going on in the community and have some sort of economic education. So although it is a family business, we do work a lot with other business owners. So we consider ourselves a consortium of businessmen and businesswomen. But for sure, the family members are the ones that will be making most of the decisions, at least, which is why I took over as CEO last year.
Okay. And what are some of the ways the company has been involved in the community?
A few different ways. So, like I said, I come from a biology background, so when I think of community, I think of it in that sense. So, the definition that we say for community in a biological sense is the interaction of different species in a confined area. So basically what that would mean for us in the communities we work with on the south and west side, the interaction of people from different demographics. So it's not just the people that live there, it's the people that own and operate businesses, the people that pass through. So when we think about different business owners, you have nail salons. Typically, we're not the ones owning those. Beauty supply stores, drug stores, liquor stores, hospitals, elementary schools. So when we come in to interact in the community, we're trying to engage some sort of interaction between these different demographics. So the first thing really is recognition. So who's there? So when I graduated, my father and mother had a really good idea, and we partnered with a different organization too to help sponsor a Black Excellence event. And so we honored, I think about 3 principals, both elementary and high school, one of being my alma mater, Kenwood Academy, of course. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
So honored the principals, honored young valedictorians, young students, letting them know what they're doing is important. Who else? Other doctoral students, so PharmD, JD, lawyers, me, myself, getting my PhD. And then we honored some people working in the political sector, the financial sector, as well as sort of the spiritual sector. So first being recognition, who's there. The second aspect of it is, okay, when we go back to this idea of community, what are the resources there? What's important? Food insecurity is something we hear about a lot, especially on the south and west side. So we fed we fed Whitworth Elementary, actually. That's a school that we fed. We have a good relationship with them. School in Inglewood Elementary School. We've often donated to, food, homeless shelters and things like that. The second portion is financial, obviously, so providing jobs. One of the things that happens with people in our community, unfortunately, we know about mass incarceration, but for low-level offenders or ex-offenders, it's really hard to find a job. So we partner with a few different organizations that focus on providing some sort of platform for job, shelter, etc. So we've worked a lot with MAFA was one group that we've worked with, the Redemption Project, who works with ex-offenders. So providing the space to train them in carpentry, really, and then paying them so that they can go on to a job site and actually, show the skills that they have. Working with kids. So we're starting, we've been doing some youth training programs. So as you turn on the news in Chicago, it's usually negative, but there are a lot of positive things going on. So youth training, not just with carpentry, which is what we do, as well as mechanical, but just life skills. Most of these young children we work with in elementary schools don't have a state ID, don't have a bank account, mine is somewhere else. So really it's interacting and getting those different pieces. So we partnered with a few different nonprofit organizations. I think one was Girls in the Hood. I think you all had a conversation with her not too long ago. Yeah. So we work closely with that organization and the founder. And we've actually she works sometimes with young girls who are homeless. So we've started what she would like to be the Hood House. Mm-hmm. So providing shelter for them in some of the properties that we own. So very involved in the community.
Okay. Yeah. You are passionate about sustainable living and economic empowerment within under-resourced neighborhoods. Why is that so important to you?
Sounds like a mouthful. But I think the short answer is we need it to survive, So when I think about sustainable living, I think people may think like not drinking out of water bottles or recycling or solar power or something like that. But really what it is living a lifestyle that is not destabilizing, And the same is true with any sort of economics to it. So we need it. So when I hear something like Black people are the largest consumers for sure in the U.S., it's sort of disheartening to hear 20, 30 years net worth is zero. Mm-hmm. So it's needed for sure within the community. So that's a reason for sure why it's something I'm passionate about, especially when it comes to making sure young people are aware, not just of how they can live their lifestyle, where they can continue it from generation to generation for children they may have, but also they should be aware of how money is coming in and going out of their communities, especially since most of them stay in that community most of their lives. So, yeah.
For people who are not familiar, what is a limited liability corporation?
So LLC, limited liability company, is one of the. It's probably a really good. It's a legal structure for one, but it's a easy way for small business owners to get started, especially to add some sort of credibility to their business structure. It has a lot of tax benefits, so it's not taxed as high as a corporation would be, or a sole proprietorship or something like that. But we love it because of the limited liability of it. Basically, what it sounds like. So you as a member, which is if you have LLC, you're considered a member. You have limited liability. So let's say you have some online clothing store, online food store, or anything online where you're selling some sort of product, and it goes astray and someone tries to sue you, or you're flipping a house and it goes astray and someone falls on the site. In the event that everything goes wrong, things go wrong, they can't take your personal assets. It's really the company that's liable there, and that's why a lot of people love that, the idea of an LLC. So super easy to maintain in comparison to sort of the other corporate structures that are out there.
Let's talk about some of the projects H&H Fast Properties has been involved with.
So a few. So it was started by my father about 30 years ago. I think before I was born, for sure. So I can for sure talk about the ones I've been involved with. Okay. So we do a bit of both residential and commercial. Not just rehabs, we also hold some things. So commercial projects that we've worked with Lawndale Christian Development Corporation, which is, you know, a pretty big group out there in Lawndale. They do a lot of good things. So we've done some rehabs for them, both commercial storefronts for restaurants, office spaces, as well as residential rehabs for like multi-units. Again, partnering with a number of different community organizations while we do that, because we do like to involve the community and make sure the money is circulating where we're working. So that's one. On the south side, for sure, we do a lot of residential things, but we're venturing off into the commercial space. As you probably know when you drive through a lot of these neighborhoods, beautiful buildings sitting vacant. Some of them are big commercial spaces just sitting vacant. So those are sort of the projects that we work with. We actually love to get those deals that have just, or houses or buildings that have been sitting for years, that often go to the demo court in the city of Chicago for a number of different reasons. It doesn't mean it's not habitable, it's just no one's living there. You know, maybe there's paint that's peeling or some tuck pointing that's needed. So we like to work with those problem properties that would essentially just sit there, not being on the tax roll, and maybe eventually just get torn down as just vacant land. So those are a lot of the deals we like to work with, and so we often partner with different organizations that work with those problem properties, like CIC, for instance. So those are pretty much the projects we work with, both residential, commercial, and then we also have sort of a luxury component to it for those individuals that, you know, can afford that.
How has COVID-19 affected the way the company does business?
Well, as you probably know and heard, like, it's been amazing for real estate. So when the pandemic happened, it was considered an essential business. So nothing stopped on that end. Of course, the price of materials skyrocketed, which was something to adjust to budget-wise. But I would say one of the major things that's changed is the way we operate the business portion of it, really modernizing the way we keep track of everything in our CRM. So basically the way we manage our customer relationship management, just making sure everyone's on the same page, because sort of in this field, especially when you're trying to do community work, you meet people where they're at, and you know, you can't always, you have to kind of work at different levels. So just making sure we have sort of a central protocol for whoever we're working with and keeping track of things. So I would say the pandemic for sure helped modernize the way that we did our business. So we call ourselves fast, so we had to slow down a little bit, but it really didn't affect us too bad when we look back, because it helped us really get our P's and Q's in order, which is a good thing. Yeah.
You have hosted homebuyer seminars. What is the one question those looking to buy a home ask the most, and what's the answer to that question?
I guess the number one thing, which isn't, I don't think it's a surprise, it's I can't afford that. I don't have the money, I can't do the down payment, or the mortgage may be too high or something like that. Oftentimes the mortgage is cheaper than rent, which we find. But when it comes to a down payment, yes, there are programs that exist for first-time home buyers. No, everyone does not qualify for them, unfortunately. There's no simple answer to the money aspect. Of course, you can seek out government programs and first-time home buyer programs, but the hard answer is discipline to save up the money for the down payment. Of course, you can, let's say you want to buy a house and you get the FHA program for 3.5% down, or you get a conventional loan for as low as 5% down, or as high as 20% down. If you get a $100,000 home, which doesn't really exist anymore in the city of Chicago, but let's say you get that, you know, low end, maybe it's $3,500 you're paying plus closing costs, which usually get waived. And for some people, that's a lot of money to save, and it is. But it's possible if you have some sort of discipline, and that's typically the answer I have to give, unfortunately. It's okay eating the same meal every day. For a few months, it's quite all right, You may not have to go shopping every day or go to the movies. It's okay to sit at home, maybe cancel some of those subscriptions to Netflix or Spotify or whatever other programs that you're subscribed to. So really taking a look at your finances. And it's really not, I'm not going to say it's not that hard, but I know when I first started, I had a lot of discipline. I sat at home and I ate ramen noodles and made sandwiches. It wasn't the most luxurious lifestyle, but it was something that was needed. So not being able to afford it is sort of one of those questions, but the answer is it's going to take some discipline. It's going to take some discipline and some sacrifice for sure. Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more about H&H Fast Properties?
Our website, so hhfastproperties.com, or you can send us an email at info@hhfastproperties.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to add?
To add in?
Yes.
So we're looking for like-minded individuals that are interested in pretty much changing the narrative of how people look at us. We'd love to keep interacting with different organizations and different companies. I'm happy to be here on the platform and happy to see citizens still around and still kicking it despite everything that's going on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real